very good morning to our lecturer, Associate Professor Mr. Michael Anatinggi and my fellow friends. Today, my group will be presenting the benchmarking of the companies to improve the firm's performance. We have chosen 3 companies which are KPJ Healthcare Berhad, TMC Life Sciences Berhad and IHH Healthcare Berhad, which mean to say that we have chosen the healthcare industry. Without delay, let us first know what is benchmarking. Benchmarking is a process to measure the company's success against other similar companies in order to discover if there is any gap in performance that can be closed by improving other companies' performance. Studying other companies can highlight what it takes to enhance one company's efficiency and become a bigger player in the same industry. Benchmarking involves 5 stages which are internal study and preliminary competitive analysis, collection of information, analysis of data, action and monitoring. Next, I will pass to the other presenter.
Hello Mr. Michael and everyone, my name is Pearl and I'm going to present to you about my part, which is the profitability measurement. So what is profitability measurement? A profitability measurement is the analysis of the ability of the management to generate or gain their adequate profits from the use of their capital and also their assets. This measurement consists of gross profit ratio, net profit ratio, return on asset and also return on capital employed. Okay, based on the calculation on the table, KPJ Healthcare Berhad can be considered as the benchmark. Why do I say so? Okay, if you take a look at the comparison between the KPJ, TMC and also IHH throughout the 5 years that we actually compare by using the profitability measurement, KPJ are almost stable compared to the other 2 companies. Yes, it did drop, but it doesn't drop drastically. It drops slightly. And TMC and IHH, yes, they have high ratios compared to KPJ Healthcare Berhad, but when they drop, they are not stable. It's sometimes it can be high, sometimes it can be very low, sometimes it can be high again, low again. It's not consistent compared to KPJ. So as an investors for sure will invest on a company that is stable, consistent and also increase yearly in terms of their profitability, and that is the reason why KPJ Healthcare Berhad can be considered as the benchmark for the other 2 companies. So KPJ needs to maintain its stability and also increase their profits even more in order to retain the investors investing in their company. This also can be applied to the other 2 companies, which is TMC and also IHH. Okay, KPJ did a brilliant job in providing a post-COVID services to those who are in need, especially those who wanted to do their medical checkups. I guess other healthcare companies should do the same thing. So besides that, healthcare companies also should provide more counseling services to those who are in need, since there are only few hospitals, few healthcare companies doing so. This is very important because COVID-19 has impacted a lot of lives in terms of their mental health, in terms of their physical health, and these services a little bit can help them in providing a good health, not only physically but mentally, and the company able to get profit from this, not for the short term but for the long term. In addition to that, yes, upon taking the next step into investing on future projects and development regard to the service improvement, the company would incur more operating costs in order to fulfill its plan. However, the return in profits will be increases over the time as the demand of the healthcare services increases in the next following years due to the changes of the environment caused by COVID-19. So that's all for me, and we move to the next part.
I'm Priscilia Henry and I'm going to present on efficiency measurement part. The productivity of a company's asset is measured by efficiency. Efficiency ratios such as inventory turnover ratio, asset turnover ratio, and receivable ratio are used to evaluate a company's potential to effectively use its assets and manage its liabilities in the present or short term. The first ratio is inventory turnover ratio. Inventory turnover ratio is a financial ratio that indicates how many times a company's inventory has been sold and replaced in a given period. From this table, the inventory turnover ratio for KPJ is the highest, and this means that their inventory are being sold more effectively compared to IHH and TMC. Next is asset turnover ratio. Asset turnover ratio evaluates the company's assets' ability to generate income or sale. Based on the computation, asset turnover ratio for KPJ is the highest, followed by IHH and TMC. This indicates that KPJ is generating more revenue per ringgit of assets than IHH and TMC. Moving on, the receivable turnover ratio is a metric that indicates how efficiently a company collects on its receivable and lends credit to its consumers. From this table, IHH has the lowest receivable turnover ratio, and this implies that the clients of IHH took shorter period to pay their debt. Based on the analysis of efficiency measurement, KPJ Healthcare Berhad is the benchmark. The reason is because KPJ has a good inventory turnover ratio, asset turnover ratio, and acceptable receivable turnover ratio in days and working capital. Overall, the efficiency measure has decreased in the year of 2019 and 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused significant economic slowdown in Malaysia, has had a negative impact on the KPJ's performance, which has resulted in the increased receivable turnover ratio in days and negative working capital. Therefore, to maintain its position, KPJ should take advantage of the government's incentives to reduce the pandemic's adverse implication. Now, I will pass the session to the next presenter. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gregory Glenn, and for the next part, I'll be concluding on which company has set the benchmark for the rest of the companies for 5 consecutive years in terms of their capital structure. The following results shows that KPJ Healthcare Berhad has the cutting edge in reaching the benchmark by having more leverage control on its debt and equity, thus providing a healthy capital structure as compared to the other two companies. IHH Healthcare Berhad, however, have also decided to use the same approach as KPJ Healthcare Berhad by financing its capital structure using debts and equity. However, the differences were apparent when in the interest cover ratio analysis comes into question, where eventually they are overburdened by its own debts and were progressing at a much slower rate. Same goes to TMC Life Science Berhad. The percentage of their debt ratio significantly lower, and they gradually increasing at a much slower rate. So to conclude this, KPJ Healthcare Berhad serves a more purposeful trade in making a better leverage and in optimizing its debts and equity, with the consumption of debt being used to finance its growth and expansion throughout the years has become evidently positive. So, taking consideration in maintaining a good leverage between their debts and equity, it shows that the other two companies, IHH Healthcare Berhad and TMC Life Science Berhad, could also utilize its assets and liabilities with more attention, and by complying to its multiple borrowing commitments, it is possible that they could gain more funds through liabilities and reach the benchmark as per KPJ Healthcare Berhad. So, this is my conclusion, and I will pass it on to the next presenter. Thank you so much.
Great day to Prof and fellow classmates. I am Tana, will explain on market and investment performance. First and foremost, we will look into the market performance before we are moving into investment performance. So, market performance is the relationship between the aims and objectives declared by the marketing team and the actual results. For example, the relationship of selling price to cost, the size of output, the efficiency of production, progressiveness in process and products. Okay, in order to measure the market performance, we will have two types of methods, which the first one would be price earnings ratio, where the price per share divided by earnings per share. And the second one would be market to book ratio, whereby the price per share divided by the book value per share. Now we will look into price earning ratio. It is said that having a high price earning per ratio are usually the entities with a bright future prospect. So if we refer to the calculation in the table above, it shows that TMC Life Sciences Berhad has the highest price earning ratios continuous of 4 years from year 2016 until year 2019. For year 2020, IHH Healthcare had the highest price earnings ratios among the three entities. As for the market to book ratio, it is used to evaluate whether a company's stock is either overvalued or undervalued by comparing the market price of all outstanding shares with the net assets of the company. An overvalued ratio means that it is above the value of 1 and undervalued is below 1. TMC Life Sciences Berhad has the highest value for the market to book ratio as compared to the other two companies for all years. For KPG Healthcare, the stock was undervalued for all the 5 years, while for IHH Healthcare, only in 2016 the stock was undervalued, and from 2017 until 2020 it was overvalued. Next, I will move into investment performance. Okay, what is investment performance? Investment performance is very important to be measured as it helps us to understand whether our investment decisions were good or whether we need to adjust the investment. So if the company having a high return on investment means the company is doing a great investment. According to the tabulated data above, we can conclude that KPJ Healthcare has the highest return on investment, which is 4.80%, while TMC has the very poor return on investment since its return on an investment is only 0%, which means nothing during the 5 years, for the average of 5 years. Therefore, KPJ has selected an investment that brings benefit and profitability to the company. Last but not least is about the benchmarking conclusion. So as for the market performance, TMC Life Sciences has the highest ratio compared to IHH Healthcare and also KPG Healthcare. While for investment performance, KPG Healthcare has the highest percentage on return on investment, and therefore KPG is the benchmark of investment performance, since there was real estate investment trust injections REIT, where it helps in improving the return on investment of KPG Healthcare. So that is all for market and investment performance part. Now our next presenter will proceed with her explanation. Thank you.
Corporate governance is a system where companies are directed and controlled. Corporate governance leads an organization to achieve the goals and objectives of the company when the company complies to the rules and practices. Good corporate governance practices good work ethics and according to the regulatory bodies. In Malaysia, corporate governance are practiced according to the Malaysian Code on Corporate Governance 2017. The code recommends that each board need to establish the audit, nomination and remuneration committees, and the committee should consist of majority of independent non-executive directors. Independent directors in a board enables the non-independent directors of the company to be confident that they have support in raising contrary points of view. Thus, this is the reason for having majority independent directors in a committee board. Independent directors plays important role in a company because they act as a guide to the company. They are responsible to improve the government standards and corporate credibility. By monitoring and controlling the action of the management, independent directors could enforce corporate governance. Next, we will be going through the table that shows the percentage of independent directors for the three companies. This table illustrates the percentage of independent directors consists in board of committees of KPJ Healthcare Berhad. For the board of audit committees, the percentage of independent directors remains constant in 2016-2018 but declines in 2020. As for the building and tender committee, it was 67% in year 2016 and increased to 75% in the year 2018. The company does not have this committee in 2020. For the medical advisory committee, it was 60% in 2016. Then there was an increase in year 2018, which is 75%, but declines to 33% in year 2020. For the nomination and remuneration committee have constant percentage of independent directors in 2016 and 2018, which is 75%, but reduced in year 2020 to 67%. In the year 2016 and 2018, there was Employees Share Option Scheme Committee, and it consists of 67% of independent directors and in 2020, the committee did not continue to exist. The Risk and Sustainability Committee shows 100% in 2018 and declines to 40% in 2020. Development and Procurement Committee and Investment Committee respectively consist of 60% and 80% of independent directors in 2020. In the year 2020, the board needed more committees to monitor the activities of the companies. This table illustrates the percentage of independent directors consists in board of committees of TMC Life Sciences Berhad. The board of TMC Life Sciences Berhad consists of 3 committees for the 3 years, which is Audit and Risk Management Committee, Nominating Committee, and Remuneration Committee. For the Audit and Risk Management Committee, the percentage of independent directors for the year 2016 and 2018 remains the same, which is 75% and increased to 100% in the year 2020. For the Nominating and Remuneration Committee, it remains 60% for the year 2016 and 2018 and increased to 100% in the year 2020. TMC Life Sciences Berhad increases its number of independent directors in year 2020 for all the committees. This table illustrates the percentage of independent directors in board of committees of IHH Healthcare Berhad. The Audit and Risk Management Committee shows 100% for the 3 years. For the Nomination and Remuneration Committee shows 75% in year 2016 and 2018 and declines to 67% in the year 2020. Steering Committee consists of 20% of independent directors in 2018 and 25% in the year 2020. Steering Committee monitors the number of security cases as well as performance of security-related programs. When the 3 companies are compared, TMC Life Sciences Berhad maintains a good corporate governance as the 3 committees are sufficient to monitor the performance of the company. It complies the percentage of independent directors and they have more committees. This will ensure most of the activities is monitored by the specific committee. In conclusion, based on the financial ratio analysis, it shows that KPJ Healthcare Berhad has been performing steadily for the past few years, 2016 until 2020, and therefore it is the benchmark company when compared to the other 2 companies. This is shown from the computation of profitability measurement, efficiency measurement, and investment performance, where the company has better ratio than the other 2 companies, which is TMC Life Sciences Berhad and IHH Healthcare Berhad. KPJ Healthcare Berhad also produces an efficient capital structure as it has more leverage control on its debts and equity. Only in terms of market performance, TMC Life Sciences Berhad is better than the other two companies. It is compared through the computation of the price-earnings ratios. The corporate governance of KPJ Healthcare Berhad is good as they have more committees to maintain the performance of the company, but they should increase the percentage of independent directors in the committees to perform even well. This is because by having a high percentage of independent directors, it can improve the credibility and governance towards standard functioning as a watchdog as well as executing their role in risk management as compared to a company that has lower percentage of independent directors, as it is most likely lead to a biased judgment in their business operations. That's all from us. Thank you.